Good evening. It's 8 o'clock. We are tracking the big developing story. Delhi's Deputy Chief Minister, the man with 18 portfolios, has resigned. Arvind and Ankit taking us through each development of that, and most importantly, what does it mean for the people of Delhi in the capital showdown? Here are the top headlines tonight. The big Delhi shake-up. 2 jailed ministers of the government quit. Manish Sisodia quits. He was Deputy Chief Minister and a minister with 18 departments. Jailed for 18 months, Satyendar Jain also quits. The resignations come within hours of a Supreme Court refusal to hear Manish Sisodia's plea, saying they don't want to set a wrong precedent. Sisodia in his resignation letter says, "No one can call me corrupt. God knows these allegations are false." The BJP says Kejriwal's moral high ground is gone. He must resign. India's growth slows to 4.4% in the third quarter. The GDP forecast cut slightly to 6.6% from 6.8%. Services drive growth. Manufacturing contracts. The quarterly GDP value is 12% above pre-pandemic levels. India's hottest February in 122 years. 29.5 degrees Celsius is India's average maximum temperature this February. The big G20 foreign ministers meeting tomorrow. The Secretary of State of the United States and the China and Russian foreign ministers will all be in Delhi. India denies that there was any issue over a joint communique. Will Telangana's Chief Minister KCR call early elections? The BJP gets battle ready. Home Minister Amit Shah and BJP President JP Nadda hold a key Telangana meet in Delhi today. Will KCR dissolve the assembly before a December due date? As onion prices crash, Maharashtra opposition MLAs protest with garlands of onions. Farmers in losses, the Chief Minister promises to intervene. It's a fast developing story in the capital showdown. Let's just take you through the top developments just before the 2 jailed ministers of the AAP government quit a short while ago.
If Mr. Manish Sisodia had any moral compass left, being the disciple of Anna Hazare movement, he ought to have resigned on the day this scandalous allegations came to light.
Arvind and Ankit join me for more. Arvind, first, what exactly happened in the Supreme Court today, and why did the resignations come just after? Because the Supreme Court made it very clear that they will not entertain Manish Sisodia's appeal, despite Abhishek Singhvi, who is also, of course, a senior advocate and a Congress MP, went to the Supreme Court.
Sonia, after the CBI court granted 5 days of custody to Manish Sisodia for CBI, Manish Sisodia moved Supreme Court challenging the arrest per se by CBI, the arrest memo. He challenged it before the Supreme Court, saying that there were no grounds for CBI to arrest him. According to him, he promptly appeared before the agency. He cooperated with the investigation. If that's the case, the agency cannot say that he did not cooperate with the investigation and the agency could not have arrested him. So that was the ground he challenged the arrest by CBI, and then he had moved Supreme Court. But Supreme Court asked a very pertinent question. Supreme Court asked him, even if that's the case, then why didn't you move High Court? Why did you come to Supreme Court is the question that the Supreme Court asked, and Supreme Court did not even enter the case into the merits. Supreme Court was on the maintainability issue, and Supreme Court said that whatever it is the case, whatever it is the ground, that you can make it before the High Court, you could not have come to Supreme Court. And precisely on this very limited point, Supreme Court said that we are not entertaining the petition, and Supreme Court also made it very clear that because you are in Delhi, you cannot come to Supreme Court directly. That will send a very wrong precedent, a bad precedent, and that was the observation that Supreme Court gave while sending the matter, while rejecting to interfere on this particular matter. So now what we are being told is that Abhishek Manu Singhvi, the senior advocate of who is representing Manish Sisodia in this case, has advised them to file a petition before the Delhi High Court challenging the remand order of the trial court also, and also seeking a bail in this particular case. So we can expect Manish Sisodia to move Delhi High Court tomorrow or day after, but in a big setback, the Supreme Court refusing to intervene in this case may have resulted in Manish Sisodia sending his resignation to the Chief Minister.
And Ankit, now let us go through the whole political strategy behind this, because of course we know Arvind Kejriwal is a very shrewd political strategist, but even here he is on the back foot, and really this is one of the most crucial moments of his political career. What's the whole Arvind Kejriwal strategy now?
You know, Sonia, post a 2014 defeat at the hands of the Prime Minister when he fought the elections in Varanasi, this possibly is the biggest political crisis that Arvind Kejriwal is dealing at this moment. Because Manish Sisodia was always seen from 2013 and even before as the man he trusted the most. He made him the number 2 in the national capital. He's not holding any portfolio as far as the cabinet of Delhi is concerned. So he de facto, the man who was running the government for him in the national capital was Manish Sisodia, while Mr. Kejriwal was touring other places to find new political ground. With his arrest and then the resignation, see, a lot of questions are being asked. The BJP was always asking both these ministers to resign on moral grounds, so on propriety issues. Arvind Kejriwal held on and defended Satyendar Jain, the other minister who has been in the jail for 9 months. But with Manish Sisodia also going in, he held the important portfolio of finance. The budget for Delhi is due in 2 weeks. It has to be presented. If the entire structure, the entire Delhi governance would have come to a crippling halt if Manish Sisodia and his portfolios were not given to anybody. They were waiting for some sort of indication, maybe some stricture from the Supreme Court, which they would have utilized, politically. That did not come through. And that is why they had no option but for Mr. Sisodia and Mr. Satyendar Jain to resign. Now with this, 2 things have happened. A, the Bharatiya Janata Party has taken the higher moral ground. They are saying if Arvind Kejriwal was so bothered about the propriety issue, then Satyendar Jain would have resigned 9 months back. That has not happened. And now Manish Sisodia won't be able to take the higher moral ground of resigning within 24 hours of him being arrested. And apart from that, it has opened a direct line of attack on Arvind Kejriwal, as we saw the BJP gunning for the top boss.
No, and of course we're talking about Delhi, but there's also the very crucial point, Ankit, that there's assembly elections coming up. So as you made that point that Arvind Kejriwal was the chief campaigner, the convener of AAP, who would go out to different states along with Bhagwant Mann, Manish Sisodia handling Delhi. Will this hamper Arvind Kejriwal's political campaigning in other states? What are his plans lined up?
You know, on 4th, 5th till 13th, he was touring, of March, he was touring the 5 big election states. He was going to Karnataka, Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh. All these states were on the map of Aam Aadmi Party for their expansion. Now with Manish Sisodia, the plans will still continue, but whether the Aam Aadmi Party publicly admits to it or not, there is a huge setback. And I'll tell you why. To deal with the Lieutenant Governor in the national capital. That is why number 2 was Manish Sisodia. He was given an elevation to the Deputy Chief Minister. Now, day-to-day bickering would also happen. Arvind Kejriwal will have to be tied down to that kind of, political work as well. Though he's still not keeping any portfolio, but for advice and aid, all ministers will look up to him because there is no Mr. Sisodia in between. And apart from that, 2 important shields have been taken off the Aam Aadmi Party's armory. The BJP has always attacked opposition parties for dynasty and for corruption. Anti-corruption was Arvind Kejriwal's biggest image. Now that has seen a crack with Manish Sisodia's arrest.
Right, and as Arvind's pointing out, they will hope for some relief from court, but this is a political battle, make no mistake. This is directly between the Prime Minister, the Home Minister, and Arvind Kejriwal. But what does this mean for the people of Delhi? Let's just go across to Nukul, who joins us now, because as we pointed out, Manish Sisodia was in charge of 18 departments. Of course, the crucial one of finance, also the others, but also of public works. So as we speak, one hugely critical flyover in Delhi, the Ashram flyover, was meant to open today, but traffic jams happening, the PWD minister in jail, though of course now he's not, another one will replace them. But what happens to all these projects pending in Delhi? Of course, India's capital and the Delhi model of governance. Nukul, over to you.
Well, absolutely, Sonia, and I come to you from the Ashram Chowk intersection, and nearby the Ashram Chowk intersection, you can see behind me. Let me just straight away goes to the visual. This is the particular patch that you were looking at. It's a 100 to 200 meter stretch patch on the Ashram flyover extension, which is yet to be constructed. So the construction work is currently going on. You can see this is the particular visual you are looking at, in which the land mover machine and the rollers are rolling and this particular stretch. Now, Manish Sisodia, Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia, also recently conducted a joint inspection of this particular flyover, as he was at the same time he had mentioned that this particular flyover will be inaugurated by the end of this month, which you also mentioned that it is yet to be inaugurated, because this is the particular date. Today is the date which on which the flyover was set to be inaugurated, but the date today it was not inaugurated, considering the fact that there are recent developments which had taken place. As you rightly mentioned, there among the various portfolios of Manish Sisodia, Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia, PW department is also one of the portfolios that he was holding in this particular cabinet. And now, considering the fact that what we have seen in the recent developments, the flyover is misses another the delay of in the inauguration.
Exactly.
But let me just also show you. Let me also show you the visuals here. This flyover was meant to conduct a smooth flow of traffic from South Delhi to DND. But you can see the construction, because of the construction work, it triggers a lot of major traffic snarls in this particular area. Which
yes. So your construction overruns, PWD, a key department. How do we get that together? That's what the people of Delhi care about, besides all the politics. Thanks, Nukul, for that update. Well, let's go from Delhi straight to the other political battle as the BJP gets battle ready for the big BJP KCR face-off in Telangana. So, Akhilesh, we saw that big meeting happening today, the Home Minister, Amit Shah, the BJP President. Why is that, and what sparked this BJP strategy meeting on Telangana, where elections are due only around November, December?
Well, the BJP believes that, KCR may call the elections anytime, because last time also he advanced the elections for around 8-9 months. So this time also BJP feels that he can do the same trick, so that, if he gets through the election, wins the election, then he can get some time to fulfill his national ambitions. And the BJP does not want to give him any chance to do that. That's why the BJP is on a war footing. This was a big meeting was called today under the leadership of Party President JP Nadda. Home Minister Amit Shah was present there, and all the senior leaders of Telangana BJP were there. And now BJP has decided to intensify the agitation at the ground level. So far the BJP has addressed around 11,000 corner meetings across the state, and now in the coming month, more than 10 big rallies will be held there in Telangana that will be addressed by Amit Shah, JP Nadda, Rajnath Singh, Smriti Irani, etc. And also there will be a big mega rally at Hyderabad which will be addressed by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So BJP is, of course, gearing up for the upcoming elections whenever they take place.
Right, and of course in Karnataka we've already been seeing that, the Prime Minister's 5th visit there before elections due in May. But Uma, how true is this speculation? Why has this speculation started that Chief Minister KCR could call elections early, also given the fact that his daughter Kavita is now also being targeted by the CBI in the same liquor policy case which we see Manish Sisodia in jail for?
About KCR calling early elections, that's something that's the talk all the time, the buzz all the time here in Telangana. But indications are not that he is going to call elections early, because I would say that KCR has been focusing on his BRS, forming the chapters in the different states, while he has just asked his son KTR to start the district tours. Already you would realize that there is a Revant Reddy, who's the Congress chief, who started his district tours from February 7 onwards. As Akhilesh was mentioning, the BJP has already had about 10,000 street corner meetings, the Praja Sangrama Yatra of Bandi Sanjay, which the Prime Minister himself had praised, but the KCR is now deputed KTR to start doing this, and he is also, going to be inaugurating his what he considers a very prestigious project of the Secretariat, State Secretariat,
right,
that he has said now will be inaugurated on Ambedkar's birthday, that is the 14th of April. The BJP on its side is always very match ready, election ready rather, and that's the reason why, other than the the road shows that they are having, they are already deputing their, Parliament Pravasi Yojana, by which every central minister is spending 2 nights rather, in every parliament constituency here, the 17 parliamentary constituencies here. And very importantly, the BJP does not have cadre or leader strength to the extent that it would like, and therefore there is a door kept open for lateral entry of leaders from every other party, whether it's the Congress or the BRS, and in fact a separate committee headed by E.T.L. Rajendar is looking after it. E.T.L. Rajendar himself had come from the BRS into the BJP.
Right, and are they going to look at the Bengal model here, where if not number 1, which still seems some way away given KCR's dominance, that they will be the strong number 2, wiping out the other opposition? Let's see how that plays out. But thanks so much for all the political reporting. It's elections 24/7 in the countdown to 2024. But amid that, there's also India's huge global outreach. And tomorrow begins the big G20 foreign ministers meeting tomorrow, where the US Secretary of State, the Chinese and Russian foreign ministers, the European foreign ministers will all be in Delhi for a crucial meeting. India denies there will be any issue over a joint communique after the controversy over what happened at the finance ministers' G20 meet.
Will India be able to break the logjam between the West and Russia at the G20 foreign ministers meeting to be held in Delhi later this week? Days after a joint communique could not be adopted at the finance ministers meeting in Bengaluru, the Ukraine issue is now back at centre stage and the focus squarely on India. Though government sources have dismissed the commentary regarding the chair's summary as politically biased and motivated and said it reflected the Bali consensus, however, as G20 president, will India be able to bring consensus between the West and Russia, which is now supported by China? Western nations including the US, Germany, Canada, France, Japan, Italy and the EU refer to the war in Ukraine as Russian aggression and condemn the move. Russia says this is not a war per se, but a special operation triggered in part by Western moves against its territorial integrity.
There are countries around the world, notably Russia, that are challenging the rules-based order, the principles of the UN Charter, the principles of international law, the principles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. We'll continue to discuss these issues with our Indian partners. I have no doubt that they'll be on the agenda for and around the G20.
NDTV has now learnt about the sharp differences which emerged at the finance ministers' meeting last week from this first-hand account.
There are 2 paragraphs on which there was no agreement, and there are 17 or 18 paragraphs on which agreement was reached in principle. So at this stage of the G20 presidency that India has assumed, I would say it is not ideal to not have a communique, but I think we can also see where the disagreements were and where agreements have emerged.
In the run-up to the September G20 summit of the world leaders, India would be pushing for a declaration, but knows that can happen only if there is consensus. So far, there are no signs of that emerging. The already existing differences over the Ukraine war are becoming even more pronounced when it comes to the language or the text with reference to the war in the joint communique of the G20 leaders in the various meetings. After the Bengaluru incident, now a similar situation threatens the foreign ministers' meeting of the G20 leaders in New Delhi. Will India be able to drive a consensus through, or will a joint communique in New Delhi also be difficult? In New Delhi, this is Maha Siddiqui for NDTV.
Let's go across the other big headline tonight, and that's the latest growth figures. Priyanshi, what are they, and is the slowdown reflecting also in the forecast?
Well, Sonia, there are several concerning figures there in the GDP growth figures that have come out. Let's break all of those down to you. Now, the GDP growth rate has slowed for the second straight quarter. India's GDP grew by 4.4% in the October to December 2022 quarter. As you can see in that graph, that it has slowed for the second straight quarter. Now, how does it compare with previous quarters? It is lower than 5.4% that was reported in quarter 3 last year. It's also lower than 6.3% that was reported in quarter 2 this year as well. But the 4.4% rate is completely in line with what the Reserve Bank of India had expected at 4.4%. Now, the forecast, or the second advanced estimate for financial year 2023, has also now been released by the government, and the economy is estimated to grow at 7%, which is higher than the Reserve Bank's 6.8% forecast. But there's a big persisting worry for the Indian economy, and that is the manufacturing sector. It is the only sector to in fact contract year on year in the Indian economy. The gross value added by the manufacturing sector has gone down by 1.1% compared to what it was in quarter 3 last year. There are in fact 3 sectors that have contracted compared to quarter 2 as well. These are manufacturing, electricity, gas, water supply and other utility services as well, and financial, real estate and professional services. So the primary sectors that add to the total GDP, these are manufacturing and services. We are seeing that those sectors are contracting, and that's definitely concerning for the economy. While we've talked about the contraction, let's now look at the sectors that performed the best among the others. That was trade, hotels, transport, communication. That sector staged the highest year-on-year growth among the various sectors, and they staged a growth of 9.7%. Now, these are the sectors that in fact were the worst worst hit after the pandemic, and they are now recovering. In fact, the economy at large is recovering after the pandemic. The quarterly GDP value is now 12% above pre-pandemic levels, from around 36 lakh crore in Q3 2020 before the pandemic to now 40 crore in Q3 financial year 2023. Now, why is the GDP growth rate falling though for the last 2 quarters? The economy is hurt by high inflation globally and also high interest rate hikes. High prices and interest rates really hurt consumption and demand in the economy, and that's what's being reflected in the slowing GDP growth rates for the last 2 quarters, Sonia.
Thanks so much for that analysis of the latest figures. The chief economic advisor in a briefing just now has said that we shouldn't give too much importance to fluctuations each quarter. But as Priyanshi pointed out, some areas of concern, but also some areas to be happy about, especially trade and tourism and the services sector. A look at the stock markets. Well, they've declined for the 8th straight session today. The Sensex falling by over 300 points. The Nifty falling by 88 points. Pharma shares declined the most today. The rupee strengthened by 18 paise, ending at 82 rupees 66 paise to the dollar. Today again, after a series of losses, the Adani Group saw their shares actually rising. This amid reports that they plan to repay up to $790 million in loans by March. Adani shares recovered in trade today with all shares up. A current roadshow in Asian financial hubs is also boosting sentiment. Both Adani Ports and Adani Enterprises were up. Adani Enterprises up by over 14% on both the BSE and the NSE. And Microsoft co-founder and philanthropist Bill Gates is in India. He met the RBI governor today and also met with key industrialists. As he said, he's in India to witness the progress made in various areas. He last came before the pandemic, and he said, India gives me hope. Well, in other news, in the Maharashtra Assembly, the big focus today was the huge crisis hitting onion farmers, with the biggest trading market in Maharashtra seeing prices plummet. So opposition MLAs today were protesting with garlands of onions. The Chief Minister has promised to intervene.
2 protests over onion prices in 24 hours in Maharashtra. The first by farmers at India's biggest onion mandi in Lasalgaon, and the second one by NCP MLAs in Mumbai wearing onion garlands. After a nearly 50% reduction in wholesale prices of onion in Lasalgaon in just the last fortnight. This is a big worry for someone like Mohan Jadhav, a marginal farmer in Nashik.
आज 1 एकड़ को 80 से 90 हज़ार तक खर्चा हो रहा है, तो ये इतना खर्चा करके हम क्या करेंगे? कल किसान अभी आत्महत्या ही कर सकता है. उसने हमको 500 या 700 रुपए तक क्विंटल को अनुदान देना चाहिए.
After an uproar by the opposition, the government has promised relief.
निर्यातीवर बंदी नाही, नापेडची खरेदी सुरू झालेली आहे. 2.38 लाख टन मेट्रिक टन खरेदी झाली आहे आणि त्याचबरोबर या ठिकाणी कांदा उत्पादक शेतकऱ्याच्या पाठीशी सरकार उभं राहील.
With Sohit Mishra in Mumbai, Saurabh Gupta, NDTV.